Okay, good morning, students. Now we're looking at another program, and we want to call this program an age calculator. And what happened with this program is that we're going to use it to show or give a basic idea of how we would get someone's year of birth, the year when they were born, use the current year to calculate to say, okay, then fine, based upon the year you were born, this year how old you would be. Alright, so let's put that in a comment up here first. Let's see multiple line comment, see if you guys remember anything. Open curly brackets and let's get started. This program is to accept the year you were born and display the age you would be this year. And let me close the comment here. So this is giving an idea of, I can write it this way, it doesn't matter really. I can bring this curly bracket up here as well, doesn't really matter. That's your decision to make. Oh yes, and let me put this in there. Also, to demonstrate at least let's just say two other data types in Pascal. So we won't actually give a demonstration on all the various data types, right? So let's call this program age underscore calculator semicolon. And what are the containers we're going to use? So right above the area where we write the program, above begin and end, right? So the name of the program is at line number 4, age underscore calculator. Alright, forgive my spelling errors sometimes because I'm really focused on writing the code. Alright, so we may have var here because we're going to declare our variables. We're going to tell the computer what are the containers that we want you to prepare in RAM, memory allocated areas, to hold data so we can run our program. So we're going to put age, for example, year of birth. So this age, comma, year of birth, and put those two as integer, semicolon. So integer speaks to whole numbers. Numbers that are negative or positive or even zero, whole numbers that we will do calculations with. Full stop. Alright. If we say real, we're going to look at this a little bit later. Real, then what happens is that those are decimal numbers. What in programming we call floating point numbers. Alright, decimal numbers, floating point, because the decimal point will move from 1 to 4 to 5 to 6 decimal places. So we call it floating point because it moves. The decimal point moves. Hence the term floating point. But floating point is not a data type, not in Pascal. We use the term real, which refers to floating points, decimal numbers, negative or positive. Alright? And let us get to another stage here. We want to also use what is called a constant. So constant, for constants now we put const. And we will say CYR, current year, is equal to 2021. Semicolon. So we end the statement by saying current year equal 2021. We end the statement, sorry, that's wrong way to put it. We'll end this section where we're declaring our containers, right, or memory areas. So we have two variables, age and YOB. Variables because the data in them will vary, will change. Memory areas where the data will change. we have one constant, as in current year, will equal to 2021. Now let us get to work and write this out for a bit. Alright, and see how this looks. Alright, so let's put a message to the screen. Indent a little bit. And now I say write. I told you I prefer to use write, so not write line. So I ask, good morning. Let me ask, what is your name? Right? So you see, right away when we ask what is your name, something should click to your mind. Where is the variable to declare your name? Right? So we should put up here, we can't put name. You see, name is a reserved word. Right? That's why it comes up in orange. A reserved word meaning terms or words that you can't use in the program for yourself as a programmer, because these words mean something specific to the compiler, the software that's going to execute the code, like var, const, begin, end, program, write, write line, read, read line. Those are words that you can't use them to contain data because they mean something specific. Those are reserved for the execution of the program. So let us say alias rather than name, alias string as a string variable. Alright, so let's put now, what is your name? Let's call this nickname. What is your nickname? And then now we put read ln open brackets alias, and then we end that statement with a semicolon. Oops, end up with a semicolon. So we say, good morning, what is your nickname? I put read ln alias. Now let's push it a little bit more. Let's now write open brackets alias, right? And then I open the quote, put a space, so that when the person name goes here, there's a space in the sentence. Do you mind telling me how old are you? Alright, put a space, and then the end that, and then now I put read. I don't put how old are you. Which year were you born? Yeah, telling me which year you were born. And now we put open brackets YOB, year of birth, semicolon. And that ends the first phase of our program. Let's interact with this a little bit and see how it runs. Alright, let me put some space here so maybe it'll be a little bit easier for persons to read. Let's run this. Good morning, what is your nickname? Nickname is Mowgli. Okay, lost connection with the server, trying to reconnect. Let me try and run this again. Okay, alright. What is your nickname? Let's say your nickname is Mowgli. Alright, Mowgli, do you mind telling me which year you were born? You're born in 2000. Program stops running. So we see right here that in this program we used a few verbs. We use string and we use real. Alright, we can also use integer as well. Integer doesn't make a difference yet. Later on we'll find out what difference it makes, difference between real and integer, as in when they're going to output the data to your screen, the program will still run. Good morning, what is your nickname? Nickname Mowgli. Mowgli, which year you were born? 2020. Program runs, no problem. Alright, so we cannot get an idea of how to use string variables. We're doing that from the But even from the very first video we were doing, I think, with an idea what string is, now we're getting a feel of integers. But let me show you now where the difference really comes in. If you don't want to calculate the person's age, you say age colon equal. We're going to do calculations next class, so we'll focus on the syntax of this a little bit later. Alright? Next video, I should say, or next class, whichever way you want to perceive it. Alright? So we say now current year minus year of birth, semicolon. Then we write to the screen, write ln. Now we write open single quote, you are let me change it a bit. Your current age is this year is, or your age this year, I should probably put it that way. Your age this year is semicolon, and I'll put inside here a comma. Let me scroll up a bit so you can see this a bit better. Comma, and I put age. And when I run the program, this is what I get. Good morning. What is your nickname? Runkos. Alright. Which year you were born? Year 2000. The program output, your age this year is 21. If you notice now, because integers are whole numbers, now if we put real here, changes to real, we're going to get something slightly different. Let's run this now. Remember, real represents floating point numbers, decimal numbers. Good morning, what is your nickname? Punkos. Right? Which year you born, Punkos? Let's say you're a little bit younger. You're born 2010. If you notice, we get a scientific notation here. Your age this year is scientific notation. Alright? So to format this now, once you use real, you have to format the age, because it is now going to be displayed as a scientific expression, or the scientific expression in decimal format. So we go 0 decimal places, 0 spaces, sorry, 2 decimal places. So you say age, the colon here, 0 spaces, colon, 2 decimal places. And when you run this now, you should actually get a number that is still in decimal. Good morning, what's your nickname? Mowgli. What year you're born? 2000. 21.00. You can change this if you want. Let's say you put 0 spaces, 0 decimal places, and you run this now. Again, let me bring this up a bit. Name is Agnes. You're born, let's say 2010. Let's be consistent with this so it's a little bit easier. You see, this year, your age this year is 11. So you have to format the floating point number or the real number now so that it reads properly. So that's when you're using real, you now have to specify how many decimal places you want and so on. That is the difference. When we're using integer, and let's try to run this right away. We should get an error. Integer, we get an error because we don't format integers. They are simply whole numbers. So we get rid of this formatting here, run the program. Name is Malvina, and you were born 2015 6. So you don't format integer data types. You have to format, or you should format, real data types, because you might want the number in a readily readable format that you can understand. Alright? That is the difference between integers and real and string. A little bit later we'll get into some more. Boolean and character is left, but those we can leave until later down. We will get into some more coding. Next class we'll look at some basic calculations. Alright? Next time, guys.